On a planet where humans were seen as weak, a new girl from Earth walked into the Galactic Combat Academy. No one knew her name, no one cared, until the instructor, an arrogant alien war veteran, hit her in training, and what happened next made the entire galaxy go silent. The sky over Sector 9 Combat Academy was dark. The sun here never fully rose, and the air always smelled like metal and fire. Inside the main training hall, alien cadets stood in long lines. They were strong, tall, and proud. Soldiers from over 40 planets had gathered to become warriors. They were the best of their kind. And then, she walked in. She was human. A girl, maybe 17 years old, small, quiet, and alone. Her hair was tied back, her boots were worn, and her eyes cold gray looked like they had already seen war. Whispers filled the room. Is that a human from Earth? She won't last one day here. The academy was not meant for weaklings, especially not soft-bodied humans. Earth was known across the galaxy as a Deathworld, but most aliens thought it was just a myth. No one believed those stories. The girl's name was Lyra. She didn't speak to anyone. She just stood at the end of the line and waited for orders. Then the instructor arrived. Commander Korak was a huge alien, taller than any cadet. He had 4 arms, dark red skin, and a long scar running from his temple to his jaw. He had fought in 6 galactic wars. His presence made the room go silent. Today, he growled, we test your strength. You will fight, you will bleed, and if you're lucky, you may survive. He looked at the new faces. His eyes stopped on Lyra. You, he said, step forward. Lyra walked up calm. No fear, no emotion. Korak sneered. From Earth, yes. She nodded once. The other cadets laughed. Korak grinned, showing sharp teeth. Choose your opponent. Lyra looked around. Every cadet was bigger than her, stronger, fangs, claws, armor. She pointed to a thick-skinned warrior with 4 legs and 2 curved horns. He laughed loudly. She's serious. I won't even need both hands. The duel began. The alien charged, fast, roaring. Lyra didn't move. Just before he reached her, she stepped to the side. 1 step, that's all. He missed. He charged again. She ducked. Then again, she leaned back, and he stumbled forward. He got angry. He swung with full force. Lyra raised her hand, just one hand, touched his shoulder. The alien fell flat on his face. The room went quiet. Commander Korak narrowed his eyes. You're playing games? Lyra stood straight. I didn't come to fight. I came to learn. Korak stepped onto the platform. Then let me teach you something, Earth girl. He walked up to her, fast. Then, without warning, he slapped her across the face hard. The sound echoed. Lyra fell to the ground. No one said a word. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just looked up at him, calm, cold. Then, Korak shouted in pain. He looked at his hand. His fingers were bent wrong. His wrist was swelling fast. Bones had cracked. He stumbled back, staring at Lyra. What? What did you do? She stood up slowly. My body reacts when it feels danger, she said softly. Sometimes, it reacts too fast. Medics rushed to help the commander. The cadets stared at Lyra in silence. One whispered she didn't even hit him. Another muttered, what is she? That night, the security footage was sent to the Galactic Command. The video went viral. Human girl breaks veteran instructor's hand without striking back. Millions watched it. Billions commented, and all across the stars. One question was asked if this is what a human student can do. What happens when they go to war? But Lyra didn't care about the headlines. She sat alone in her sleeping pod, staring at the wall. No joy, no pride, just silence. Because she knew the truth. She hadn't even used real strength. She was still holding back, and if she ever let go, Galaxy would never forget her name. Commander Korak was not just an instructor, he was a war legend. His fists had broken skulls. His voice had silenced rooms. He had never lost a fight. Never. But now, his strongest hand hung useless by his side, wrapped in layers of alien cloth and bone regeneration foam. His fingers would heal, but his pride, that was broken. Across the academy, whispers turned into fear. She didn't hit him. She touched nothing. And still, he screamed like a child. Cadets who once laughed at Lyra now avoided eye contact. In the mess hall, no one sat beside her. In the sleeping quarters, her bunk had a full 5-meter gap on both sides, as if she carried a virus. But Lyra didn't notice. Or maybe, she didn't care. That day, she was called to the medical lab. 3 alien scientists waited for her, one with 4 eyes, another with tendrils instead of arms, and a robotic AI unit hovering silently in the corner. They didn't ask questions. They scanned her. Heart rate normal, muscles human level, average bone density, slightly high, but not unusual. But one reading made them go silent. Reflex latency, 0.0004 seconds. The tendril alien hissed. That's not possible. That's faster than neural signal speed. The AI responded. Her body moves before her brain tells. It too. Pure survival programming. She's not fighting, the 4-eyed doctor whispered. She's reacting. Meanwhile, in the shadows of the academy, Korak stood in the observation chamber. He watched her test results on the glass. He said nothing. His damaged hand trembled. An old general beside him muttered, "She didn't hurt you, Korak. You hurt yourself." Korak growled, "She's dangerous." "No," the general replied. "She's trained. You just didn't know it." That night, in the training room, Lyra stayed behind, alone. She stood in the middle of the empty arena, her eyes closed, her hands still. Then fast she moved, a full combat pattern. Step, duck, strike, pivot, elbow, spin, low kick, roll. But it wasn't wild, it was calm, like a memory playing from her bones. She didn't smile, she didn't breathe. Hard. She was flowing behind her. Someone clapped once. Slow. Deliberate. Lyra turned. It was the academy director, a spider-like being with a long, slow voice. "You hide your power well," he said. "I'm not hiding it," she replied, avoiding it. Why? She looked away. Because once it starts, it doesn't stop. The next morning, the academy released a report. The Earth Girl is cleared for continued combat training. Some cadets protested. Others quietly trained harder. But a new fear had begun. Not just fear of Lyra, but fear of Earth. One alien student whispered to his friend, "If she's just a girl, what does a soldier look like?" Later that week, the academy scheduled a second match, a rematch. This time it would be one-on-one, with high-level protection, not between Lyra and a student. Between Lyra and Commander Korak himself. Broadcast live to all military sectors. As Lyra stepped into the arena, the entire academy watched. The walls displayed her face, her height, her weight, her home planet Earth. Korak stepped in, two armor covering his limbs, pain in his eyes, and revenge in his heart. He didn't speak, he just stared at her. Lyra said one sentence. "If you hit me again, I can't promise you'll walk away," Korak growled. "Try me." The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. It began with silence. When the countdown ended, 3, 2, 1. No one moved. Not Lyra, not Commander Korak. The arena stood still. A million eyes across the galaxy were watching the live broadcast. Students, generals, commanders, bounty hunters, and rulers. They all waited to see if the small human girl would survive. Destre Korak stepped forward slowly. This time, no arrogance, no smirk, just a cold expression and heavy footsteps. Lyra stood straight, calm, focused. The moment his fist moved, she vanished. At least that's what it looked like. One blink. She was behind him. The camera bot stuttered, trying to catch up. Korak turned fast, swung his elbow, missed air, ducked again, slid forward, and touched the armor on his knee. One soft tap, Korak stumbled. His leg locked. He growled and grabbed for her hair. But she dropped flat and kicked his feet. The great warrior fell face first onto the arena floor. Gasps echoed across the galaxy. She didn't punch, she didn't strike, she just moved. And he fell. The match was called. Lyra stepped back, her breathing normal, her heart calm. Korak sat up, confused, his pride bruised again. She walked to him and held out her hand. He didn't take it, but he didn't hit her either. That night, the Galactic Academy sent out an official report. Lyra of Earth has passed all physical combat assessments. No violations recorded, no aggression shown, no weapons used. The report ended with one sentence. Subject avoids violence, but cannot be touched without consequence. The cadets were no longer laughing. They were scared. Some avoided her path. Others trained harder, trying to match her speed, but failed. In the cafeteria, she sat alone again, but this time no one whispered, no one stared. They were all quiet. Even the loudest alien in the group, a stone-skinned beast named Jor, began changing his tone. "Don't mess with the Earth Girl," he muttered. "She doesn't fight fair." But they were wrong. Lyra wasn't unfair. She just wasn't. Normal. In the shadows, someone watched her. He wore a cloak. Not a student, not an instructor. His eyes scanned her every move. His fingers tapped an old device. He whispered into a unit. "Subject is active. She doesn't know yet, but she's waking up." The voice on the other end replied, "Keep watching. Do not engage. She is not complete." That evening, Lyra stood outside, looking at the two moons in the academy sky. She didn't miss Earth. She didn't even remember it much. She had been training since she was a child in places deep underground, with voices that never showed their faces. Every time someone asked her who trained her, she would say, "I don't know." They never gave names, only lessons. One rule always stayed the same: survive without violence, defend without anger. But here, in this alien academy, that rule was getting harder to follow, because fear was growing, and fear always leads to violence. Next day in training class, a new challenge was posted, a team match, 3 cadets versus 1. Korak's voice echoed, "The human will fight alone." Lyra looked at him. "You're testing me," she said. "No," he replied. "I'm testing them." The 3 chosen cadets were strong, fast, and eager. They thought if they fought together, they could win. They were wrong. Lyra didn't even let them land one hit. She used their own speed. Against them, one alien flipped over her back and hit the wall. Another tripped as she slid beneath him. The last one froze, confused, and surrendered before she could move. Lyra didn't smile. She bowed and left the arena. After the match, students started whispering something new, not just fear, but rumors. She sees the future. She can hear your heartbeat. She's not just human, she's something else. Even Korak had no answers now, but one thing was clear: the galaxy was watching, and Earth was no longer a joke. Billions were watching, not just the students, not just the academy, but entire worlds. Every screen across the allied galaxy blinked with one message. Inside the arena, the lights dimmed, cameras hovered silently, following every breath. On one side stood Lyra.com/unreadable, motionless. On the other, 3 alien cadets, fully armored, fully trained, the same students who had lost to her before. But now, they had a plan, and behind the glass, on a platform above, a panel of war commanders watched with emotionless eyes. This wasn't just a fight. It was a test. On a private room, Commander Karak stood before the cadets, his arms still healing, his face stern. "If you lose again," he said, "the whole galaxy will believe humans are stronger than us." He looked at them hard. "You're not fighting just a girl. You're fighting Earth's reputation. End it. Fast." Back to present. The crowd held its breath as the buzzer sounded. Start. The 3 cadets charged from different angles. One from the front, one from the left, one from behind. Lyra didn't move. Then in one smooth motion she dropped to the ground. The first attacker flew over her shoulder, hit the floor. The second swung. She ducked under it, rolled, and stood behind him. The third stopped mid-step, confused, and she simply stared into his eyes. He froze. Fear again. Camera drones zoomed in. Across the galaxy, alien children cheered. Soldiers leaned forward. Generals whispered. "She's not attacking. She's predicting. No. She's calculating. No. She's remembering." Lyra didn't speak, didn't taunt, didn't laugh. She didn't need to, because she wasn't fighting them. She was teaching them a lesson. Then suddenly, the arena lights flashed red. "Override detected," said a mechanical voice. A fourth figure entered the field, unannounced. Not a student, not a test. He was a bounty hunter. Unknown, unauthorized, and armed. Korak stood in shock. This wasn't part of the plan. But the doors were locked. The arena was sealed. It was all still. Broadcasting live. The bounty hunter grinned under his helmet. "I came for a test. A real one." He pulled a plasma blade. Students screamed. The 3 cadets backed away. But Lyra didn't flinch. The man pointed at her. "You're the Deathworld girl." She said nothing. He stepped forward. "I've seen your kind before. You're not human. Not really." He lunged, blade ready. But the blade never touched her before. It got close. Lyra moved. Not fast. Instant. 1 second. He was swinging. The next, he was on the ground. Blade cracked. Helmet shattered. Eyes wide. His arm broken clean at the joint. Silence. The entire galaxy watched. Stunned. No music. No music. No announcer. No words. Just the image of a teenage human girl standing over a trained killer. Untouched. Then Lyra spoke. 3 words. Cold. Calm. Certain. Leave Earth alone. The arena opened. Security bots swarmed in. Medics carried the bounty hunter away. Korak looked down from the platform. His eyes no longer held anger. They held something else. Respect. And fear. The galactic broadcast ended with a slow zoom on Lyra's face. Gray eyes. No smile. No pride. Just silence. And in that silence, billions felt one thing. Earth is no longer defenseless. The training ground was quiet now. The other cadets stayed away. They watched her from a distance. Some feared her. Some respected her. But no one dared come close. Zero stood alone. Was sharpening her blade under the cold blue light of the Academy's moon. The same blade she hadn't used yet, not even once. Her victories had all been bare-handed. Behind her. Footsteps. Slow, careful, almost afraid. It was Makar, the Academy's top-ranked alien cadet. 8 arms, hardened scales, lightning reflexes. He was famous among his species. Proud, dangerous, but tonight, even Makar approached her with caution. "You're not like the others," he said in a deep voice. "What are you?" Zira didn't turn. She continued sharpening the blade. Sparks flew gently from the stone. "I'm human," she replied. "No," Makar said. "You are something else. I've fought humans before. Strong, yes. Tough, yes. But you smile when you bleed. You laugh when you are hit." Zero finally looked at him. Her eyes glowed softly, not with power, but with something colder. "Memory loss, fury. You think pain is the worst thing that can happen to someone?" she asked. Makar didn't answer. Zero stood up. "Back on Earth," she said. "I lost everyone. My whole city. Gone in fire. We survived with nothing. We fought to eat. We slept with one eye open." Makar shifted uncomfortably. "And when rescue ships came," she continued, "we were not welcomed. We were studied, watched, judged. We weren't seen as survivors. We were seen as monsters." "Why?" Makar asked quietly. "Because Earth changes you," Zero whispered. "The air, the gravity, the planet teaches you to survive. Not just with your body, but with your mind." Makar looked down for the first time. The great fighter seemed unsure. Zero stepped closer. "I came here not to fight," she said. "I came here because they told me I could join the galaxy, that I could learn peace. but every lesson here starts with war. Suddenly a loud alarm echoed through the academy. Red alert, invasion detected. Zero and Makar looked up at the screen. Above the arena, a strange alien ship was breaking through the academy's shield. It was not part of the Galactic Alliance. Unknown origin, unknown tech. Emergency combat formation, the voice announced. Panic spread through the cadets. Instructors shouted orders. Chaos. Zero grabbed her blade. Makar stared at the screen. Frozen. You coming? She asked him. He looked at her, then nodded. Together, they ran toward the landing bay. The ship landed fast, its hull cracked with old battle scars. The doors opened and creatures none of them had seen before stepped out. Black skin, glowing eyes, and armor made of living metal. The instructors moved first, but within seconds, 2 of them were crushed. Zero watched in silence. Then something inside her changed. She took off her training gear, revealing strange patterns glowing across her skin. A tribal code, Earthborn. The creatures turned to her. One of them tilted its head, sensing something different. She didn't wait. She ran straight at them. Makar shouted, "No wait." But Zero had already leaped into the air, spinning once, before landing a solid kick to the lead invader's face. His helmet cracked. He screamed in a voice not meant for this world. She moved faster than ever before. Not like a cadet. Not like a soldier. Like a storm. Behind her, Makar and the others found their courage. They charged forward. Following the girl they once mocked, Zero didn't look back. She fought for the world she lost. She fought for the respect she never got. She fought like someone with nothing left to lose. And when the last alien invader fell, broken and breathless, others just stood there, watching, silent. Then someone whispered, "She's not a student anymore. She's a weapon," another muttered. Zero wiped the blood from her face and looked at the instructors. They nodded, slowly. But no one knew. This was just the beginning. Far above, in the deep dark of space, someone was watching her. Not a friend, not a rescuer, but something older. Something that had once visited Earth long ago. Something that remembered the Deathworld, and now it had found its child. The training arena was quiet again. The alien instructor, Verxer, had not returned since his face was broken by the Deathworld girl. Rumors spread like fire through the academy. Some students avoided her. Others watched her like she was a ticking bomb. But Kel, the girl from Earth, stayed silent. She trained harder, alone. Early mornings, late nights. No one dared to spar with her anymore. Not after what she did with a single punch. But what she didn't know was that someone was watching, not just students. High Command was watching. Deep inside the facility, in a black glass room with no name, several alien officers stood behind a glowing table. On the screen, Kale was shown slow-motion clips of her movements, her reactions, her eyes. One officer, with 4 cybernetic arms, leaned forward. She moved before the instructor struck. He whispered, "Her reaction time is impossible." Another said, "She's learning too fast." A tall shadow stepped into the room. His voice was cold. "Activate Protocol 7. I want to see what breaks her." Meanwhile, Kale sat outside the dorms, under a strange purple sky. Her bruises had healed, but inside, she still felt heavy. She missed Earth. The smell of rain. Her mom's cooking. The stars there felt closer, warmer. She pulled out a small charm from her pocket, a piece of metal, shaped like a lightning bolt. Her brother gave it to her before she left. He told her, "If they ever knock you down, stand and make them regret it." Kale smiled softly. Then, a loud siren rang. Not the usual alarm. This was deeper, urgent. Students ran from their rooms. Teachers shouted in languages she didn't understand. And then a voice echoed through every speaker, "All students to the combat dome. This is not a drill." Inside the dome, every trainee stood in silence. A new figure entered. He was not a teacher, not a commander. He was a hunter. His armor was black and red, his eyes hidden behind a cracked helmet, and on his back he carried a weapon that looked illegal. The crowd murmured. Fear spread like fog. The hunter pointed at Kale. Human stepped forward. Kale blinked. "Me, you. Protocol 7 has begun." She stepped forward slowly. Around her, whispers started again. "That's suicide. They're testing her. She's not ready." The hunter removed his helmet. His face was full of scars. His smile, empty of kindness. "Let's see what a Deathworld girl can do. Against me?" They circled each other in the arena. Kale didn't talk. She just watched. His stance was solid, professional. Her heart was calm, focused on. Then like a flash, he attacked. Kale dodged, but just barely. His strikes were faster than anything she had seen before. He didn't hold back like the instructors. Every blow could break a bone. She blocked, dodged, rolled, but then he feinted a punch and slammed her into the ground. Pain shot through her side. "You're not as special as they say," he growled. She coughed, blood on her lip. "You're just a scared little girl from a violent rock." But Kale looked up, eyes blazing. "You just made your first mistake." She stood. Her body screamed in pain, but her fists, they glowed. In the control room, sirens went off. "What is that?" "Energy spike. She's absorbing kinetic force." "That's not possible." Back in the arena, the hunter swung again. But this time, Kale caught his fist. His arms snapped, his eyes widened, and Kale whispered, "Earth teaches us pain, but it also teaches us to fight through it." She punched once. The hunter flew across the arena, hit the wall. Didn't get up. Silence. Gasps. Even. The walls seemed scared. In the black glass room, High Command stood frozen. She survived Protocol 7. No, she dominated it. The tall shadow turned. "Start preparing the final test." "What test?" "Let's see how she handles betrayal." The arena was silent, not because the fight was over, but because everyone was too shocked to speak. Zyron, the once proud alien instructor, now lay in a twisted heap on the floor, his face swollen, his pride shattered. And standing over him was the Deathworld girl. Her breathing was calm. Her fists were still clenched. Her eyes, however, told a different story. They weren't angry anymore. They were tired. Tired of being hunted. Tired of proving herself. Tired of being the human girl from the dangerous planet. But she wasn't just a girl from a Deathworld anymore. She was a symbol now. A symbol of something that terrified the aliens more than her fists ever could. Self-control. The medics rushed in, lifting Zyron onto a hover. His mask was cracked. His jaw hung loose. But still he mumbled something, barely audible. She held back. Those were his last words before he passed out. The crowd looked at each other. Whispers filled the air like smoke. She didn't use full force. She could have killed him. She chose not to. And then they understood she had won the fight twice. First by breaking his stance, then by not breaking his life. The Academy's commander arrived, pushing through the crowd. He was an old one-eyed Zarnian, famous for fighting in the Orion Wars. He had scars across his face, and many believed he feared nothing. But when he saw the girl, he paused. "You disobeyed a direct order not to fight?" he said sternly. The Deathworld girl stood straight. "Yes, sir." "You broke your instructor's jaw." "Yes, sir." "You humiliated him in front of the elite combat class." "Yes, sir." He stepped closer. "And I thank you for it." Gasps echoed around the arena. The commander raised his hand. "This academy has grown weak. We train our soldiers with drills and dances. We've forgotten fear. We've forgotten respect. But today, you reminded us." Then, he turned to the students. "You all mocked the human. You thought her small size, her silence, her strange eyes, meant she was weak. But that's because you judged her as a student." He pointed to her. "She wasn't a student. She was a survivor. And none of you ever asked what she survived." That night, she was called to the Hall of Silence, an old chamber, where only legends were discussed. She walked in alone, but on the screens around her were images of her past. Monsters from her homeworld, acid rains, gravity storms, her lifting a collapsed building to save children, her fighting off creatures that ate metal, her punching through a shield that even laser weapons couldn't break. A voice echoed in the chamber. "We thought we brought a student from a wild planet, but we brought a warrior from a world that never sleeps." Later, back in her room, the Deathworld girl looked out the window at the stars. Someone knocked. It was Saren, the only alien who had once warned her gently, the only one who saw her as more than a Deathworld problem. He brought her a warm drink. "You broke him," Saren said with a grin. "But I think you fixed us." She smiled softly. "I didn't come to break anyone. I know. I just came to belong." Saron nodded. "You do now." The next morning, all instructors stood when she entered the class. No one laughed. No one mocked. Even the strongest cadets gave her space, not out of fear, but out of respect, because they finally understood. Her real power was never just her strength. It was her restraint. It was her patience. And above all, it was her humanity too. Be continued, or maybe not. But the galaxy will never forget the girl from Death.